Hey y'all, hey, it's your girl Morgan Renee, tuning in with another story time with more mouth. We're finishing up Trying to Sleep in the Bed You Made by Virginia DeBerry Donna Grant. If you're not already, go subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can type in story time with Moremy, spelled Moremy, or you can type in my name, Morgan Myers. You'll see a red logo with a yellow M inside. You can click the playlist, and these should be in order as long as you sort it from the latest upload, newest to oldest. So we're in chapter 18. And it starts off with a quote. That was a long time ago, 1989. Is she ready? Of course not. Loretta was never ready when Gail came to pick her up from the hairdresser's. 10 minutes more under the dryer. We all ain't lucky like you. Good thing, or I'd be out of business. Zelle Jones, the big hit, silver-haired owner of Zelle's beauty shop, motioned her to the old brocade sofa in front by the window. Take a load off. Gail smiled politely and sat down. Lucky. She'd been waiting for her mother at the hairdresser since she was 2. Women oozing Shalimar and draped in pastel plastic cakes would come over to her carrying their just-delivered church sale fried whiting dinner on a grease-soaked paper plate. Look at this pretty hair. Then they'd run their fishy fingers over her head. Sure is my lucky child. Couldn't she be ready just once? The ancient Mediterranean console TV that sat under a faded ravine poster played Wheel of Fortune and slowly flipping vertical hold, and somebody named Matt was buying an egg. Loretta sat under a domed dryer bonnet engrossed in the Amsterdam news. Zelle tapped her on the knee, and she looked up, waved to Gail. The patron in the front booth, with half a head of just pressed curls, asked Gail to buy raffle tickets. She dug in her purse for money, but didn't bother filling in the stubs since the trip to Las Vegas was the last thing she wanted to win. Ramsey hadn't mentioned the ponies, poker, or any other kind of gambling for over a year. Gail counted her blessings. The smooth patter of a radio DJ came from somewhere in the back behind the blue sheet stung across the doorway and competed with Matt, who she said would solve the puzzle. So your mother was telling us how you all know Marcus Carter. Zelle's claims to fame included shampooing Billie Holiday, manicuring Duke Ellington, and turning down personal invitations from the likes of Joe Louis, but she always doubted other people's brushes with celebrity. Inside Info is running some kind of story about him tonight. What did Mama dig that up for? We went to school together, but that was a long time ago. Gail looked at her watch and hoped she sounded casual. She still had to pick Vanessa up from Keisha's. I don't have the time to sit here and watch TV. You and Marcus were more than classmates, and you know it. Loretta, out from under the dryer, pulled rollers from her hair and dropped them on top of the newspaper in her lap. He was your boyfriend. For how long? Shoot, you always waving your hand around showing off that little ring he gave you and telling us you were pre-engaged. Until you met Ramsey, that is. She moved to Zelle's styling's chair, cradling the curlers. Whatever you say, Mama. Gail wanted her to get off the topic. That boy has been so good to his parents. As soon as he made it big, he built him a brand new house in North Carolina. Now he's living way across the country in Hollywood. Malibu, Mama. Gail had grown used to her mother's meandering stories since the stroke, but that was getting on her nerves. Whatever, wherever. Anyway, he's doing beautiful in them commercials and all, and you don't see him out with white women on his arm. Leastwise, he never gets his picture taken with any. Loretta dropped her voice to a whisper. Lord, you know how your daddy loved the Mets, but I rooted for Marcus and the Dodgers to win the pennant this year. We should have gone. I know he could have gotten us tickets. Loretta bobbed her head so much that Zelle couldn't do the comb out. They're going to beat Oakland in the series, too. Mama, you have to hold still so Miss Zelle can... Hush, Gail, the program's coming on. Zelle, turn the chair so I can see. Loretta didn't want to miss a word so she could add her own embellishments. Zelle turned up the volume so everybody in the shop could hear, and the best Gail could do was grit her teeth and hope the story would be first and short. He has it all. Chiseled good looks, athletic prowess, fame, and lucrative endorsements. But according to exclusive inside info sources, L.A. Dodgers stellar first baseman and hammering hitter Marcus Carter may soon be implicated in the tragic shooting death of his brother, Frederick Carter. Freddie's 8th grade class picture filled the screen, and Gail was chilled by a cold blast from her past. What? What is she saying? Lord, what mess are they fixing to stir up? Loretta dropped her head in her hand. Carter, the cat in the hat, a high-octane sportsman and very eligible bachelor, first made his mark with the Baltimore Orioles in the early 80s, but the tragic death of his older brother takes us back to 1969, when Marcus was a mere 9-year-old schoolboy. 2 decades have passed, but there is no statute of limitations on murder. Murder? There was no murder. What do they mean? Panic silently engulfed Gail. The reporter continued. NYPD is reportedly working with the DA's office on the investigation. What if the police call me? I'll be right back. Gail headed for the ladies' room to collect herself, but halfway there she stopped, frozen by memory of the chain of events started by another unnecessary bathroom trip. She sat down at an empty dryer. Carter declined questions today upon leaving the DA's. The TV showed Marcus walking down the courthouse steps, eyes forward, jaws clenched like a steel trap, and Gail knew it was pulsing like it always did when he got mad. We have no comment at this time, Marcus's attorney spoke. I promise this witch hunt will be over shortly, and then Mr. Carter will answer your questions. Hopefully by then you'll get back to the real story, the Dodgers' impending victory in the World Series. Who would have talked to a reporter? Not Marcus. Pat? She'd never do that. She couldn't. And I never told any Ramsey. The thought chilled Gail to the bone. I know he can't stand Marcus, but he wouldn't. With a minimum of facts skillfully arranged over well-drawn innuendo, the report suggested possible gang or drug involvement in the shooting. Carter's chances for another World Series win could be dashed if formal charges are brought. The beauty shop grand jury hummed with comments on the report. Zelle talked into the mirror and feathered Loretta's hair with the sharp end of a rat tail comb. Makes it sound real suspicious, don't it? Freddie found that gun in the garbage and it went off while he was playing with it. Ain't nothing more to it than that. Loretta looked over at Gail. My poor baby. They can't put her through this again. I'll tell you why they're picking on him. He's good-looking, rich, and everybody likes him, Loretta snorted. She wanted to redirect the conversation, sorry she had ever mentioned knowing Marcus. Can't let us have nothing unless it comes from them. You know, one of my old Miss Ann's has a sister lives down the road from Gail. She recognized me at the farmer's market. I was looking at the tomatoes. She just knew I had a situation up here. Didn't want to believe I could be living right in her neighborhood. Her mouth hung open like a barn door when I told her. Couldn't say a word then except, oh, nothing. I tell you, they don't want us to have nothing. My Joseph used to say, Mama, we have to go. Nessa's waiting. She had to get out of here. Why now? After 20 years, what difference does it make? Zelle stepped on the pedal at the base of the chair and it sank back to floor level. Can you imagine having such a hateful job, looking for other people's dirty laundry, and if you can't find anything you claim, they must be hiding it? Loretta handed Zelle some folded bills and slid off the seat. You ready? Am I ready? Gail held the door for her mother, then headed for the car. Ramsey? Are you all right, baby? Loretta took Gail's hand. I'm fine, Mama. Her mother's blood pressure couldn't stand for it to be otherwise. Lord, what if the police come looking to talk to you and Ramsey finds out? Mama, nobody's coming for me, and I have nothing to tell them if they do. You should stop watching that nonsense in the first place. Gail unlocked the car. There's nothing to say. Freddie was already shot by the time I came in the room. Well, I guess you're glad you didn't marry Marcus. You sure be in the middle of this mess right now. Loretta climbed in. Poor Marcus. What kind of godforsaken soul would have brought this up now? I don't know, Mama. Gail drove in silence, trying to keep from pointing the finger of blame at Ramsey. It doesn't make any sense. Times had been tough, the economy stalled, landscaping was a luxury, and Ramsey was forced to close the Jersey and Connecticut branches of the business. Gail tried to comfort him, but he came down hard on himself for letting the company grow too fast and get out of his control. Loretta offered to let Ramsey use the money he had invested for her, the profit from selling St. Albans, to tide him over, but he said it wouldn't be necessary. Shopping had been Gail's pastime, her sport, but Ramsey had stopped gambling for her, so she curtailed her hobby too. Of course, she still bought things for Vanessa, but except for an occasional clearance sale, she had stopped shopping for herself, and they hadn't taken a trip since last year. She offered to let the cleaning woman go and suggested they not open the pool this year, but Ramsey said it would look bad and he wouldn't cut back on things people might notice, like there was anyone paying attention to them now. After the Derby Day TV incident, Mrs. Phillips, Monica's mother, wasted no time getting the story of Ramsey's outbursts on the wire. Carpool moms were even more standoffish with Gail than before. The A-team now consisted of Vanessa and Keisha, with Monica an occasional visitor and only at Keisha's house. For the first few weeks, kids at school teased Vanessa about UFOs landing in her TV. Several of the girls in her dance class would stare and whisper when she came in, but eventually all that quieted down. Ramsey wasn't making any big contributions these days, so Gail's social calendar was nearly empty. Now and then, Bessie would have extra seats at his table for some event, but Ramsey liked being the host, not the guest, so they usually didn't go. Gail turned the guest room into a makeshift studio and spent a lot of time sketching and painting. She had done a number of watercolors, and even though Vanessa protested she was too old for L. Crawford and pretended to read the stories only under protest, Gail kept producing them. She tried to keep L. Vanessa's contemporary, and sometimes she would catch Vanessa reading her favorites over and over again or sharing them with a friend. As a last-minute decision, Gail contributed 2 of the colorful handmade books to the previous school Christmas bazaar. She was thrilled when the owner of a local children's store asked if she would consider offering the books through her boutique. Gail knew Ramsey was opposed to her working, but this was different. It could be an opportunity to start her own business. But when she finished her sales pitch, Ramsey looked at her like she had suggested they join a nudist colony on Jupiter. So folks can say my wife peddles mammy-made junk. She never mentioned it again. Gail hoped he turned it around this summer. With the consolidation, Ramsey saved an overhead, and he had a good feeling about a bid he had in on the landscaping and maintenance contract for a brand new hotel convention center. If that comes through, we'll be sitting pretty. Why would he tell somebody about Marcus? Who would he tell? What would you say if they called you? Loretta asked as Gail merged onto the Cross Westchester Expressway. That I remember the day like it was yesterday. Don't be ridiculous, Mama. I wouldn't even talk to them. Even to be on TV? That it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't. Mama, I don't want to talk about it, and don't start in with this when we get home. Luckily, Vanessa got in the car jabbering nonstop. She gave a plie-by-plie description of her part in the upcoming dance recital and gabbed with her grandmother like girlfriends, so Gail drove in silence. It was twilight, the moon was not quite full, and Gail knew when she crested the next hill, she would see their house. On a night like this, it would be clear and distinct, but even in the dark, its familiar outline was always a friendly greeting. There it is. She still said that to herself every time the house came into view, like maybe the next time it wouldn't be. Even after 10 years, she sometimes said the same thing about Ramsey. There he is, she said to herself when she caught sight of him, like the next time he wouldn't be either. Gail didn't know how much she was hoping Ramsey would be home until she saw his car wasn't in the driveway. I have to go back out. I forgot something, she said. I have to ask him if he knows anything about this. What'd you forget? Can I go too, please? Vanessa asked. I'll only be a little while. You stay here and look after Graham, okay? I won't be long, but you can stay up until then. Goody. She kissed Vanessa's forehead and felt her heart tug when she realized she didn't need to bend over to do it anymore. Gail didn't go to greener pastures often. Ramsey's car was parked by the loading dock, surrounded by trucks, trailers, and other equipment, so she knew he was still there. She parked around front, got out, and tried the heavy steel fire door. This ought to be locked. Humid air greeted her inside. The thick scent of fertilizer, gasoline, and sick sweet insecticide always made her feel like she was breathing through a wet washcloth. The ghostly hum of fluorescent lights filled the cavernous warehouse as she picked her way past riding mowers and sacks of grass, seed, and cedar chips heading toward the rear. Ramsey's official office, carpeted, appropriately furnished, and accessorized with Gail's artwork on the walls, was up front, but unless he had an appointment, he preferred his old battered desk in the back next to the loading dock. He told her he could see what was going on from there. From far away, Gail couldn't make out the conversation, but she heard Ramsey's chuckle bouncing off the cinder block walls, loud and hollow like canned laughter. Yeah, I know, but this has gotta hurt him, no matter what else happens. You talk to Moses, he'll tell you they need him at 100% or they have no chance. He sat at a roll-top desk, the phone pressed to his ear. I'm looking to rake in some mean green. He looked up and was startled to see Gail. Listen, Bessie, I'll talk to you later. No problem. Okay, she's heard the story already. He figured he'd have to deal with this when he got home, but now was as good as time as any. What brings you down here so late? You know I don't want you in this neighborhood after dark. It's not safe. He stuffed some papers in the right-hand drawer and stood up. Rake in some green from where, Ramsey? I was just on my way home to tell you the good news. I got the West Center contract today. Things are looking mighty good, baby. Mighty good. That's great, honey. I knew it would work out. Gail tried to sound enthusiastic, but it came out lame. Ramsey pecked her on the cheek, then went to the locker across from his desk and got out his suit coat. He had been wearing khakis and a work shirt when he left this morning, but in case he had to meet with a client or go to a job site unexpectedly, Ramsey always kept extra clothes at work. Ramsey, Gail spoke to his back. I don't want to ask him. If he doesn't know anything about it, I don't want to be the one to start the whole Marcus thing again. Huh? He closed the door, snapped the lock shut, and slid his jacket on. Why would you tell? Have you ever told anybody? You remember I used to go on and on about Marcus, and I told you, about how Freddie got shot? She asked. She knew he was looking at her, but she inspected the milky window behind his desk. Yeah, sure, I remember. Ramsey patted his pockets. You don't think I could forget a thing so terrible that happened to my Nightingale, do you? He removed his keys. I guess not. The thing is, there was a story on TV today about Marcus and Freddie. Gail looked down at the toe of her red shoe. I must own 15 pair of red shoes. Did you tell anybody what I told you? She finally looked at him. What? Who would I tell? His reply was nonchalant. I'm parked out back, so I'll walk you to your car and locked up on my way out. Their footsteps echoed loud and gritty on the painted concrete floor. I don't know, but how did they know that stuff? Whoa, Ramsey turned to her. I don't even know what stuff you're talking about, but hell, you can find out anything about anybody if the right person's digging. Ramsey, no one knows about that day but Pat and Marcus and me, and now you. We never told another living soul. So you decided that I called up a TV program and told them I knew a dirty secret about Marcus Carter, and they said, great, we'll put it on air, just like that, because he used to be your boyfriend? Come on, Gail, you watch too many soap operas. When she reached the door, Ramsey was holding it open, his hand pressed firmly against the release bar. She hesitated a second, then lightly placed her hand on top of his. I wasn't accusing you. I love you. It's just that I know you hate Marcus. I'll see you home. By the time Gail got home, she was convinced Ramsey was right. Of course he is. I probably do watch too many soap operas. What would Ramsey gain by hurting Marcus? It's raining and 53 degrees at 5:45. Traffic in 10 minutes. This just in. Beleaguered baseball star Marcus Carter was airlifted to New York Hospital earlier this morning following a motorcycle crash in East Hampton. He is currently undergoing surgery. Pat sat up straight in bed. She could see Marcus lying in the road, still bleeding, just like Freddie. No other vehicles were involved. The motorcycle was registered to supermodel Tia, who was out of town and unavailable for comment. She grabbed her knees and rocked herself to quiet the 8. Ever since Curacao, Pat felt Marcus was cruising for disaster. So now he's hit pay dirt on a back road. Why the hell does he keep torturing himself? She angrily flung the covers off and turned on the light. It's like he won't be satisfied until, when the whole Freddie mess came out, she figured she'd let the secret slip during pillow talk with one of his bimbos, maybe the reporter. A story is a story. When the whole Freddie mess came out, she figured he let the secret slip. Okay, during pillow talk with one of his bimbos, maybe the reporter. A story is a story. It was hard to imagine he would actually tell anybody. From that horrible day to this, she had never spoken the words aloud, not to another living soul. Now she overheard it being discussed on the street, and people in the agency asked if she knew about the incident. It seemed like sacrilege. Pat called Marcus's agent for days. When she finally reached Rich, he gave her the standard line, promised to pass her good wishes on to Marcus, which he did, but Marcus wasn't seeing visitors. I don't need people trying to cheer me up because I ain't got nothing to be cheerful about. How about you're alive? Rich dumped a stack of cards on Marcus's bedside table. Don't preach to me, man. He met up with premier orthopedists and plastic surgeons. The upshot was he'd need more surgery to repair the damage done to his limbs, and his 300-foot slide weighed down by 1,000 pounds of motorcycle. Then he could look forward to months of physical therapy. He'd have to use both his arm and his leg, but they told him he shouldn't expect to charge around the bases or hit 400-foot homers. Marcus didn't care what they expected. He knew better than anybody what he could do, had to do. Mail and presents accumulated in a corner unopened. He watched television all day and most of the night, anything but the news and sports, and kept busy teaching himself to write left-handed just for now. His request for free weight so he could exercise his good arm and leg was vetoed by his doctors, so he had to be content with visualizing himself lifting weights, swinging a bat, and running flat out fast as ever. A week after the accident, Marcus's attorney phoned to let him know he'd been cleared of any culpability in Freddie's death. His legal cloud had been lifted, but it didn't lighten the heavy load on Marcus's heart. He still didn't know why Pat started all this, and it ate him up inside. The next day, nurses and doctors streamed into his room, congratulating him on the Dodgers' 5-game World Series win, but Marcus was sullen. Why are you so mad? You won. An aide put Marcus's dinner tray on his table. They won. I ain't even started fighting yet, but he decided it was time. Would you set my phone on the table where I can reach it? Marcus punched the keypad like he intended to punch through to the other side. A listing for Comstock Gravitt Green. Marcus copied the number in a wobbly left-hand print. He had to know. Pat sent something to the hospital every day. Flowers, cards, fruit, notes. The day of the DA's announcement, she even walked to the medical center and stared up at the blonde brick building, hoping somehow Marcus could feel her vibes. So when he called, she figured it was because he finally got one of her messages, but he sounded so remote. She chalked it up to painkillers and the enormous burden he'd been dragging around. Maybe having Freddie's death out in the open would lighten his load. The guard posted in front of Marcus's room opened the door for Pat, who carried a shopping bag full of dinner. Even in a luxury room, it was still hospital food. Inside, the room was dark. Flickering light from the TV cast eerie shadows on Marcus in the bed. You awake? Pat whispered. He pulled the chain and turned on the light above his bed. Are you happy now? What should I be happy about, Marcus? Pat walked toward the bed. Don't come any closer. I can't even look at you. What the hell do you mean? She set the bag on the floor, too stunned to hold it. You know you show up out of the past like a damn ghost, Talk me to a contract from one of your clients, and for what? So you can inform the whole damn world I shot my brother? No. You don't think I had something to do with that inside info story? I know you have better sense than that. Don't lie to me. Marcus hurled his water pitcher across the room. Pat ducked and it exploded against the wall, splashing her back. Was it the money, or do you think I didn't suffer enough? Is something wrong, Mr. Carter? The guard poked his head in the room. No, nothing, Marcus said. The door clicked shut. Marcus turned his face away from Pat, but she marched to the other side of the bed. If I wanted to punish you, Marcus, does it make sense I would get you involved with one of my clients? Huh? Do you know how many meetings I've had to about what to do with Marcus Carter problem? Do you know how hard it is to sit there without yelling that I don't give a shit about how a scandal will affect their market share? That what I'm worried about is you? Then I hear you ran your bike off the road, and I'm thinking, did he do it on purpose? Or doesn't he realize he's acting like he wants to kill himself? Nobody has to punish you, Marcus. You do too good a job yourself. I was not trying to kill myself. You could have fooled me. Last time I saw you, you've been drifting towards South America without a boat. When you shot the first damn commercial, you were taped up from something you sprained or cracked. What have you done since I don't know about? Just because I like adventure don't mean I'm trying to off myself. Don't even try it. You've been doing it since we were kids. You broke so many bones, I don't know how you can walk, much less run. So where did the story come from? The damn grave? I don't know. Pat looked out the window at the red and white lights of cars crawling around the FDR drive. When I heard it, I felt for you the most. It was you stuck in the spotlight, but I felt trapped too. She turned to face him. If you'll remember, my life changed on that day too. It's not a memory I care to visit. But I ain't seen Gail since the day we broke up. And I saw her the year after that, but not since. You don't know where the story came from, and neither do I. Maybe Gail had something to do with it. Maybe there's another source we're not thinking about. We were just kids then, Marcus. Pat came to the end of his bed. She could see the pain Marcus tried to hide. Damn. I got pork chops, black-eyed peas, string beans, and sweet potatoes in the bag. You interested in dinner? You cook? You kidding? Yeah, they're about to bland me to death. Pat perched on the end of the bed while Marcus ate. The meal went slowly. He could pick up the chops by the bone, but he was clumsy with a fork in his left hand. Midway through the meal, he put his fork down and laid his hand on the bed. Damn, I can't wait to get out of this cast and all these bandages. I'm sick of this bed. Pat covered his hand with hers. He stroked her fingers with his thumb, and they sat a while without talking. His hands were big with wide, flat nails, and she could feel a scar that traced down from his middle finger almost to his wrist. She never felt his hand before, never held it. Your dress still wet? A little, but I won't melt. I'm not that sweet. You're lucky it was my left arm. I don't miss with my right. He smirked, and the dimple dotted his cheek. If it's ruined, I'll take care of it. No need. Next time I'll wear a wetsuit. No need. Thanks for dinner. Next time I'm buying. Give me a buzz and I'll come hungry. Pat stood up and the old awkward space threatened to come between them, but Marcus caught her hand and pulled her to him. I apologize for the things I said. He kissed her hand and laid it on his chest. Pat leaned down and kissed his cheek. See ya. All right, that's the end of chapter 18. We'll pick up again with chapter 19 another time. Thank y'all for tuning in. Peace.